I'm Sharona Clements, Curator of Art at the Peel Art Gallery Museum and Archives, and I am a walker too. You might wonder what my profession as a curator has to do with walking. Well, not much if you consider that it isn't a mandatory skill when applying for and securing a job as a curator. But as it turns out, it has proven to be quite beneficial to me over the years. When I'm getting ready to write about art or develop a theoretical premise for an exhibition, I find that going for a walk helps me get my mind into shape. In fact, I seem to come up with the best ideas when I'm walking alone. You see, in this solitary activity, when I'm not held hostage by emails and last-minute urgent requests, when I'm not juggling several tasks all at once at the expense of not remembering any one of them the day after, when I'm not making any concentrated effort to tackle an obstacle or solve a problem, when my mind is free to leap across random thoughts, I am suddenly struck by inspiration. And it often happens when I go for a walk. As I get older, I don't often listen to music when I'm off on one of my walks because I find it distracting. But on one of my recent walks, I did something unusual. I pulled out my headphones and pressed the playlist button on my mobile and happened to come across the 1990 pop song Enjoy the Silence, performed by the UK band Depeche Mode. And then it hit me. The idea of silence and how critical it was to how well I perform. Most of us live our daily lives in constant noise. Noise from our partners or children at home, noise in the work environment, from co-workers, noise from traffic as we commute, noise from the electronic devices we carry around us like glued-on appendages. It's all around us. So the title of the song, not so much the song itself, has never resonated with me as much as it did that day. Silence and the joy it can provide. On that cold spring afternoon, the streets were largely empty because now that everyone is mostly hiding at home from the pandemic that has swept the entire world, I was truly alone. If it were not for the music I was listening to, I would have been in complete silence. There are many activities I soon realized that I enjoyed when done in silence, like reading, naturally, cleaning, cooking, and looking at art. At home, my work environment is largely silent. Even these days, when I'm around my family 24/7, we largely work separately and in quietude. When I'm intensely engrossed in a project, isolation and silence are an ideal working condition. Just ask Matisse, right here. She's the only one allowed to occupy the same space as me when I work because she is quiet, extremely so. Right, Matisse? Are you there? She is, see? Very quiet. To me, silence means clarity, focus, peacefulness, serenity. But then I began thinking if that's how others feel too. I wondered what meanings silence might carry for other people, and how the idea of silence has been explored through art. I first remembered artist Marina Abramovich, her 2010 performance at the Museum of Modern Art in New York City, in which she sat in silence with members of the public as they stared at one another for one whole minute each. It was part of her exhibition, The Artist is Present. Even without words and only a few facial expressions, so much was communicated between the artist and the strangers with whom she was silently interacting. Silence can be honest and intimate and intense and unnerving. It could speak volumes. In PAMA's art collection, there is a drawing by Ted Fullerton. It is titled Silence Number 1. All you can see is an outline of a bird on the left corner, and then a faded trace of a cup, some sort of a vessel, in the upper center area of the work. The rest is all a whitewash. It's rather all mysterious, which is another, I think, captivating aspect of silence. It's as if the whitewash is covering the imprints captured below the surface, underneath the layer of white. Is silence but another word for cover-up? Well, your interpretation is as good as mine. But back to working habits. In light of this new strange preoccupation I have with silence, I posed the following query to a bunch of artists. Do you prefer to work in silence, or do you thrive on noise and mayhem? And interestingly, they have nearly all unanimously agreed that silence is gold. Whether we write, paint, draw, or sculpt, we all like to be able to think clearly, to allow the creative juices to flow undisturbed and uninterrupted. So let's take in a deep breath and enjoy a bit of silence before we are called back into the noisy wild that is the outside world.